Hello, I am back with another part to my book, Life is Pain, Jesus is Joy. This is chapter 1. I'm just going to get to it. So, chapter 1, what is pain? More pointedly, what do I mean by pain? And he shall go forth, suffering pains and afflictions and temptations of every kind, and he will take upon him their infirmities, that his bowels may be filled with mercy according to the flesh. Alma 7:11 and 12. I believe, and this belief is the premise of this book, that pain is educative. In fact, perhaps it is the most educative tool in God's tool belt. It is the very tool that Jesus endured while in the flesh, which allows him to succor his people. Without the pain he felt, he could not be what he is to us. He could not comfort those whom he did not feel for. He could not empathize with those who have endured things he had not endured in his mortal experience. Regardless of its usefulness, even Jesus asked, "Are you sure, God? All this pain, it's pretty overwhelming. Do I really have to do this?" Better questions I could not ask myself. They reveal that from Jesus to a crying baby, we all experience pain that is uncomfortable, unwanted, and unfair. We all want a way out of it. We all wish we could learn without pain. That pain was reserved for those that were really bad and deserve it. Furthermore, we all must stretch our brains to understand why the innocent and the holy often seem to be the casualties of pain in this life. This unites each of us to each other, and if we let it and do not harden our hearts to Christ and his experiences with pain. Our collective pain can mentally bond us. Viscerally, however, the pain of betrayal, abuse, slander, etc. can lead us to conclude that pain is the worst. But is it the worst? This is the question I want to speculate about, ruminate on, research, and call upon the Spirit to discuss. I want to talk about pain using some unique criteria. I also hope to help us look at pain differently. Some of these chapters will make you think radically about pain, some rationally. Some chapters will bring up things that you've thought of before, but might help you organize those thoughts so that you can talk about them more frankly. Some of my thoughts might not do anything for you, but might just be the thing you hoped for a friend or a ministering family. Our hope is to touch your heart with at least one of these approaches. Looking at pain so that we can see what pain is and how it truly is a gift of education we could get no other way. So first things first, though, what is pain? Or what do I mean by pain? I list 5 definitions, and so I'm just going to do that one. I'm speaking of physicality, injury, accident, unhealth. Number 2, I'm speaking of all things that try the human soul. Number 3, I am thinking of those things Jesus paid for with his blood and innocence through the atonement. Number 4, I'm speaking of opposition, sin, and maleficence. And number 5, I'm speaking of natural things that result from living in this mortal world, such as disasters. Just to be thorough, Webster's dictionary, or Webster defines pain as 1, the physical feeling caused by disease, injury, or something that hurts the body, which correlates with my number 1. And number 2, mental or emotional suffering, sadness caused by some emotional or mental problem. And that's kind of my number 2 and sort of my number 4, I guess. So basically, this pain, by my definition, basically encompasses everything, both spiritual and physical and mental, or all 3. Thanks to this earthly existence, we have felt copious amounts of pain. Thus, we all clearly know what it is. Because of the thorough education we have received via life, I do not feel like I need to go any further with these types of definitions. However, we need to discuss my additions to our understanding of pain so that we can be on the same page. I'm going to include all things listed above, and I'm going to add a spiritual twist and basically divide that list that I had into, physical, mental, spiritual. As Alma expresses this pain so viscerally, I'll quote him here. Yea, I did remember all my sins and iniquities, for which I was tormented with the pains of hell. Yea, I saw that I had rebelled against my God, and that I had not kept his holy commandments. I was racked even with the pains of a damned soul. That's Alma 36. Emotional and mental pain and spiritual pain are very closely related. For where else do we perceive them but in our hearts and minds? Thus, they can be conflated. However, I believe that spiritual pain or temptation or opposition, call it whatever you like, deserves its own category for what other pain leads you to repent. When I slam my finger in the door, do I fall to my knees to repent? No, but I do repent for the swear word that I thought or said after my finger is slammed. And if I'm conscientious, I recall that I was tempted or chose to watch that R-rated movie. Consequently, the F word is floating around in my brain more than normal, just waiting for the moment where the dispassionate conditions of mortality offer me a challenge. And thus the swear word comes out. I'm challenged, I'm weakened by the opposition I embraced, and when deciding to watch that R-rated movie, and consequently, I use my agency to swear. Swearing lessens me, it casts the spirit aside and leads to other lesser things entering my mind. Or when someone tells me that my writing stinks, do I raise my hands to heaven with a plea to God for forgiveness? No, but I do need to repent for telling that person who hates my book to go suck eggs, because I know answering evil for evil will eventually make me evil. But I also know I've been tempted by a need of worldly adulation, and this person just dug into that sinful lust, making me aware of how deep it goes. So telling someone to suck eggs or saying a curse word are in opposition to my nature as a child of God, a princess in this kingdom, an heir of equal inheritance with Christ. Thus, when I am in opposition to my nature, I am in spiritual pain. I will use both pain and opposition, which is what I just described as this opposition, the spiritual pain, interchangeably. But we're referring to opposition in most cases. I will be speaking of spiritual pain or the devil's temptations as a result of acting in opposition to our true nature. Okay, so I just grouped like a whole bunch of things together into a tiny word. And I guess I meant to do that because it's a true representation of the situation. Pain/opposition is like buckshot in life. It can be big with lots of gaping wounds at close range. I'm so sorry. Some examples of that are things like cancer or pornography addiction or tragedy. It can be splatter hitting every part of you, but only just a little bit. Examples like pride or multiple sclerosis or family problems. It can be as small as a sliver and only in one place, like an injury or vanity. It can be friendly fire inflicted by friends and enemies alike. It can be a muzzle to the head, like betrayal or apostasy or death. It can kill you, maim you, or graze you. Some say it's death and taxes, but I say it's pain and taxes, because we're all going to rise from the dead. Whatever or however it comes, my premise is, if you let it, it will always make you stronger. Why am I taking this approach? Trying to appeal to many different ways of thinking? Well, because it's how God gave me this topic, and I'm just trying to be the hands here. That's end of chapter 1. At the end of each chapter, I do provide a couple of quotes. In this one, I do one from Spencer W. Kimball. I'll read it really quick. If we look upon life as an eternal thing, then all happenings may be put in proper perspective. Is there not wisdom in his giving us trials that we might rise above them, responsibilities that we might achieve, work to harden our muscles, sorrow to try our souls? Are we not exposed to temptations to test our strength, sickness that we might learn patience, death that we might be immortalized and glorified? If all the sick for whom we prayed were healed, if all the righteous were protected and the wicked destroyed, the whole program of the Father would be annulled, and the basic principle of the gospel, which is free agency, would be ended. No man would have to live by faith. That's Spencer W. Kimball, and that is actually going to go really well into my next topic. So stay tuned for chapter 2.